All right. In this video, I'm going to explain to you why flywheels are the secret to hitting $100,000 a month using cold paid advertising, no ad fatigue, no rising CPMs, no lead quality drop off. This strategy that I'm going to share with you in this video makes paid ads stupid simple, down to a science, so that finding a winning ad makes you a return and then you can scale it to the freaking moon. So are you ready? Let's dive in. All right. So what are flywheels? All right. How long did it take me to build one, and how long did it take me to refine this strategy? So really the biggest part about why ads don't work, in my opinion, is that most people just find a bunch of stuff that they think works by looking at the Facebook ads library, or maybe they use an ad spy tool, and then they go ahead and drop it into their ad account and they expect it to work. But the issue with this is that you don't understand what their back end is, meaning what is their actual sales process when someone opts in? What is their value ladder? Do they have cross-sells? Do they have upsells? What is their retention like? What is their client fulfillment like? Well, how many testimonials do they have on the back of making certain claims that they make in their ads? You see, most people throwing stuff against the wall are not going to see the same success that their competitors see. No wonder they're saying, oh, well, I launched the exact same thing on the front end, but I didn't see the same results. It's because you don't have the same back end as them. And so what we want to do in this video is actually explain how we can create a proper flywheel effect. And a flywheel, very simply put, is ultimately a system that continues to feed into itself in such a way where you put in inputs once and then it infinitely creates better results for you, better CPLs, better cost per booking, better cost per acquisition, no ad fatigue, without it having to continuously be worked over and over and over again. All right, so follow along. We're going to make sure your CPMs don't spike, your lead quality doesn't drop. And really, before being able to do that, we want to understand that this is not going to be a copy and paste process. You do this once, you do it right, it is going to continue to pay dividends for you over and over again. The first part of how I've been able to scale my agencies profitably is because I did this. And the biggest part of all this was that I was creating winning ads. Okay. All right. So the first part of this over here is we want to come up with an infinite offer. So basically, an infinite offer articulates very clearly, very properly what it is that your audience ultimately wants. Okay. We want to make sure that we say some sort of a transformation, some sort of a promise of results that we can stand behind realistically because we know our product is going to deliver it and it matches up clearly with what they want. So it's about finding that sort of middle ground between really what it is that they want, okay, and essentially what it is that you have. Okay. And this is what a great offer does. It essentially articulates this piece over here in the middle. Now, with that said, once you articulate that, we can then start putting that into our ads, and we end up creating ads that then speak very clearly to our demographic. And all we need to do now in the future is that we can keep bringing up the same quote unquote offer with the same promise, with the same claims, with the same transformation that we're going to create, but we can find new, novel, interesting, different ways that spark intrigue and curiosity to the actual prospect. Okay, and that's how we take these ideas that are really big in their nature. You could be in a niche like, say, chiropractor, and you could talk about how you have chiropractors that basically got their license and then never worked ever again. And it's like, well, how do they end up getting a license and then never work again? Well, actually, we have the system: insert promise, insert offer, etc., etc. So you're finding a new take on what it is that you actually do is then the work that you do long term. It's not about coming up with new offers over and over again. That's why it's a flywheel effect. It's infinite. It happens once and then it goes into your ads. And then if you do a good enough job of running your Facebook ads in the methods that I teach on this channel and my school community, you should be able to have ads such as the ones that someone named Eugene Schwartz and Cloud Hopkins and Ogilvy, all these guys ran, that shouldn't burn out that quickly. I mean, some of these guys were running ads for 40 years straight profitably without a single change in even a word of their copy, right? It's by using this flywheel ultimately, right? And so it does work for ads, but you have to put in the work to come up with, again, a good offer, and then come up with ads that articulate that offer, and then make sure that you're buying in the right way, which this video isn't obviously about, but I'm giving you a bit of a larger overview, and definitely a part of doing the research of finding what your demographic actually wants, what they're actually going to respond to, takes a bit of research. And I think, Facebook ads library is a great way to do that. I'll definitely look at this, but I'll take it with a grain of salt. I would make sure that when I'm in here looking at different assets that other people have produced, as I said in the beginning, you want to look at the aspects of the actual ad that you think might be resonating with the audience. So if we zoom in over here and, we take a look at the ads manager over here, I mean, this is just a screenshot that my editor made. Let's just go to the ads library. So let's just go to the ads library here real quick. Let's say I'm over here looking at ads for the roofing niche. Generally, I don't want to go after ads that have just been launched in like the last 2 weeks or even in the last 3 weeks. I want to go and look for ads that have been running really, from the beginning of the year is what would be great. So let's take a look over here. So what I did is I applied a filter where we want to see stuff that's on or before 1st May, because we know that if it's been running for the whole of May, June, July, that's 3 months already. And we can take a look to see what's there now. And we'll be able to find some killer ads this way. So we'll take a look at this and we'll take a look to see what these have in common. And one of the first thing that comes to my mind is if it's for a roofing ad, look at all 3 of these, right? They have a home or some sort of a building in them. I mean, this one doesn't. And this is how I generally do customer research. I can notice is like themes of like red is a pretty common color that I see popping up in pretty much all these ads. Red. This is red over here. And just doing a bit of research over here in the ad library to figure out to see, okay, well, what are some visual cues that maybe my demographic responds to? A hard time figuring out what your offer should actually be. Take a look at the ads library, not for the reasons that you may previously, which is to just take ads and copy and paste them into your own ad account. No, take a look to see what the actual trends are. I mean, are these ads using a certain kind of imagery, certain colors? What are they saying exactly? Which are the ads that you personally resonate with, the style that you resonate with? And what is a common thread over here? Like you can see in a lot of these ads, for example, in the roofing space, they're making price-based offers, which is very surprising to see because, oftentimes you may think that you don't want to put the price inside the actual ad. So that's been interesting to see for me over here today. And I think there's a lot that could be learned in the ad library, but generally speaking, we can make some inferences over here that, okay, well, maybe our offer has to have some element of, price in over here. What's a great price that we can offer ultimately on our ads, or what's a range that we can put in our ads? That may be something that we do. All right, so now that we have our offer articulated, we want to start asking ourselves, okay, well, how do I find winning ads? So really the biggest part of this is going to come down to, yes, some part of it is competitor research. You can go into the ads library and scroll through and see what other people are doing, but go ahead and copy paste exactly what it is that they're doing. Okay, that's the big mistake that a lot of people make. They just copy paste stuff. No, you don't want to do that. What you want to do is you want to take inspiration in the sense that, okay, what colors, what themes, what is it exactly that people are saying? So when we look at other people's ads, we want to take the general context of it. And then we also want to see in many ways, where's the trend going? I mean, if a lot of people are doing highly produced, highly edited stuff where there's a ton of B-roll and there's all this like dopamine action stuff happening, maybe we just want to go a bit more raw style. Maybe we want to go a little bit more basic with our actual ad format. And so really leaning on that big promise that is really timeless and that people are going to resonate with over and over and over again. Once we have that, the cool thing about this is that we essentially just end up creating one body, which is really your offer. Okay. And then we can take that and just find an endless variation of hooks. So hooks are basically desires, pains, frustrations, etc., that our market actually feels. And then we can lead with a different variety of those things in the beginning of our ad and then tag on the offer. So now you're not having to do all this heavy lifting over and over again. You've articulated your offer once. You've got one main body that is really just the offer articulated in a format that makes the ad work. And then at that stage, you're just creating different hooks, right? A very common hook is, are you tired of XYZ? Or what if you didn't have to deal with XYZ? What if instead you could have ABC? So the people in this niche that get ABC, they do these things the same. They do this and this and this and this. And actually, we've got this offer. So you see how you can lead with a different hook, but you could always use the same body or offer. And that's how we create ads using a infinite sort of flywheel effect. And I've got something called the infinite ad loop that I developed after spending over $20 million on ads. And if you want to learn more about it, there's a link in my bio, or I'm so used to saying like bio, but a link in the description of this video that you could click on and you could learn a bit more about how I can help you do that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.